Welcome to the Inner Champions podcast. Would you like to promote your business so the world can find you? Or would you like to become a sponsor of the podcast? If so, please contact us on Instagram at Inner Champions Podcast. Lastly, follow our current sponsor at The Real Talk with Jordyn.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Inner Champions Podcast Sports Edition. This is going to be based on what we've got currently going on with Major League Baseball, which is the World Series against the Los Angeles Dodgers versus the Blue Jays. And I wanted to come on here and just give kind of my, 10 cents to how I think this series will play out. Not necessarily who will be victorious, but how to get to victory lane, how to be that player or how to be that team to win the World Series. And I think that a lot of the current analysts don't have the time, don't take the time, probably don't get paid enough to talk about the little details, the little things that it takes to win these championships, how to win these championships, and more importantly, how these teams are going to win these championships and World Series pennants and rings, and just all in all, the best, time in baseball is now. So I want to get started with obviously the two best teams made it, which are the Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, keep in mind, what I want to remind you guys of is that I've been getting a lot of, the Dodgers aren't going to make it because they are in the wild card. I want to remind all of you that just because you are in the wild card or just because you are the number 2 team in baseball doesn't, one, always going to account for you're going to be knocked out because you're in the wild card. Number 2, because you are the number 2 baseball team in Major League Baseball, that you're guaranteed the spot that you are to play. Now, don't get me wrong. The Blue Jays locked their position to play and be in the World Series. And they had a little bit of chasing to do as well and got rid of the opponents that they needed to get here. And that's all fine and dandy. So did the Los Angeles Dodgers. And the reason why I bring up this point is because of the fact that, look at the Los Angeles Dodgers. They were in the wild card round and pushed through and beat the teams that they had to be where they needed to be in the World Series or have a chance to go back-to-back to the World Series, and they did that. They took care of business. And again, as the World Series and as of this series alone, before this, was not easy to get to, was not easy to be in the position they are in. But as I tell everyone, playoffs is a new season. In my point of view, in my vision, because I've been in this position before, it is a complete 0-0 season. Nobody's won a game. Nobody's won anything to get to this point. You have to zero out. You have to have the mindset of a champion, and the champion is that we are 0-0. Anyone can take this. This is a brand new season. Have the mentality to compete. Have the mentality to be champions. And like I said, for previous weeks, the Dodgers have been here multiple times before. Yes, they have new personnel, but I personally think in this instant, the personnel that we have currently is the strongest personnel that we've had probably for the last 2 to 3 to 4 years consistently. I think we're at the strength of our team. And again, I know over each year, teams change, teams switch, same thing like the NFL would. New players get drafted, stuff like that. And that's just how the nature of the beast works. And that's fine and dandy. And it's a wonderful thing for, rookies and whatnot. But again, like I want to reemphasize is that just remember that in this World Series, it's a complete new season. As you saw tonight, it can go anywhere, any which way. But really quick here, I want to make a huge point of emphasis for both of the teams. I think not necessarily who has the better pitcher or who has the better lineup will particularly win this World Series. I see this World Series going like this. Whoever's pitcher can go a minimum of 7 innings. I don't care if you're going for the LA Dodgers or the Blue Jays. Keep in mind, whatever pitcher can go a minimum of 7 innings. I'm not asking each team to throw a complete game. Of course, that's almost going to guarantee you a win 9 times out of 10. But again, as I repeat myself, the team that can pitcher or starting pitcher can go a minimum of 7 innings. Yes, that's a lot to ask, but if you go back 2 series ago, I believe when Yoshi Yamamoto threw a complete game, that really set the tone for why these teams have to set the standard of going, or their pitchers going 7 innings, and that has a lot to do with anything, because I think the top prospects for each team in this particular World Series in 2025, if each of their for either side, I should say, can go a minimum of 7 innings, not only is the probability higher that whatever team will succeed and win and all that stuff, but if you look at this, the schematics, for example, in tonight's game 2, when the Blue Jays manager changed their pitcher to whomever, and I don't have that particular name or particular stat on top of me right now. Maybe later in the future I will go stat for stat and stuff like that. We'll talk into detail. But as soon as he made that change, it shook that team up, shook that lineup up. I really believe whatever team's pitcher can go a minimum of 7 innings will obviously have the greater chance to win. But unfortunately, that's how I personally see this World Series playing out. That's just the take I've taken on it, the vision that I put into it, and that's just where it's gonna go. And I encourage you to email me your guys' thoughts or your opinions at coachescornerradioshow@gmail.com. Once again, please email me your thoughts, your own approach to this World Series, what you believe, what you think. coachescornerradioshow@gmail.com. I'd love to chop it up, talk sports, talk why you think that it could go a different way, so on and so forth. I'd love to brainstorm with you, just chop it up. And for the Blue Jays, I want to and I already said why I think that they'll win. I think that they are a strong team, and they have the potential to win. But the difference between the Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers, I think that in every which way, pitching-wise, defensively, and offensively, they are better than the Blue Jays. I think that the Blue Jays have one or two people that can, pop it off and, potentially send in some runs and take a game or two. But going to Los Angeles as the opponent, no matter what, because it is the World Series, or without a doubt, at any point going to Los Angeles is going to be a hard win to come by. It's not going to be given to you. It's not going to be handed to you. And I think the Blue Jays are clearly aware of that. But I just don't see currently, especially the way I saw this Game 2 go down, that the Blue Jays just don't have the firepower to overcome being down in a series, or particularly being down in a game. And for one, that clearly showed tonight. I thought that, having the lead before tonight's final game, the Blue Jays would show a little bit more kind of resilience or firepower back. But, I really don't think that they, have it. And again, this is just clearly my opinion, my thoughts, and I wish them the best. I want the Los Angeles Dodgers to win, of course. I'm from LA, so why wouldn't I want them to win? But all in all, I really think, truthfully, deep down, that the Los Angeles Dodgers will take this World Series if, like I said, let me emphasize again, previously in this episode, I talked about the pitchers, and I think that if our starting pitcher on that particular night, whomever it may be, goes a minimum of 7 innings, not only does that increase our chances to come out victorious, but it's almost a guarantee at this point. I don't think that, we're the team right now currently to pop off offensively. Now, don't get me wrong. If we did that, that would be a great security blanket for our pitcher, or vice versa. But I just don't see the games playing out to be like that. I think it's going to come down to pitching. I think that it's going to come down to a minimum of our starters playing or pitching for a minimum of 7 innings. I'm going to take a break here for a second. When we return, I'm going to find the press conference of at least Dave Roberts. And let's see what he had to say in his wrap-up of Game 2 on the way back to Los Angeles. So take a minute, and I will get right back with you with that interview.
Hi, Dave. Congratulations.
Thanks, Steve.
Don't hold back any superlatives. Talk about your starting pitcher's performance.
Outstanding, uber competitive, special. Yeah, he was just locked in tonight. It was one of those things he said before the series, losing is not an option, and he had that look tonight.
Other questions for Doc? We'll go to the last row in the back.
Sticking with pitching, Yamamoto was throwing a lot of splitters early, then went to his cut fastball the second round around the Jays order, then to his fastball second time around the order, then to his cutter last time around the order. Was that more of a game plan thing or a control thing?
That was more of a feel, read, and react thing. The great thing about Yoshi is he has 4 pitches to get lefties out, righties out, and you're reading hitters and making adjustments. I thought Will Smith did a fantastic job. I thought Mark Pryor did a great job game planning, and Yoshi executed.
Ross, 4th row, straight back.
Hey, Doc. Yoshinobu hasn't pitched in as many postseasons as most of your roster, yet time and time again in these situations, high pressure, he seems to perform. What is it about maybe his personality that allows him to pitch like this in these moments?
I think, he's pitched in huge ball games in Japan. He's pitched in the WBC. And, players that have the weight of a country on their shoulders, that's pressure. And so I just feel that part of his DNA is to just perform at a high level in big spots and control his heartbeat and just continue to make pitches. So, he could have won another, 30, 40 pitches tonight.
Stay there with Jake.
Will struggled last postseason, and it seemed as if during the regular season this year, you guys were a little bit more intentional about managing his workload in order to have him be ready for this time of the season. Is tonight kind of what you envisioned when you instituted that plan?
It was, but last year he was banged up and wasn't playing well in September and through the postseason. This year, certainly managing his workload, and then he fractures his hand, and so I think the last week, that week off, I think got him over the hump, and it was the first time in a while he's pulled a ball like that, so I think that's part of the healing process.
And then overall, does he look fresher and healthier to you right now than he did at this point last year?
Absolutely, and the catching is such a demanding position, but I think overall mental clarity, the body's fresh.
3rd row on your far left, Tyler.
You may have touched on it right there, but with Will, despite the injury, he had maybe his best year offensively, and he's always been pretty good. But how has he gotten better? How has he developed as a player over the 7 years you've had him?
I think the game calling, the relationship with the pitchers has continued to get better. He's always had the bat to ball, the ability to hit to all fields, the ability to hit versus left versus right. He understands when to pick his spots. He does his homework. And I think at the end of the day, he's a guy that just doesn't panic. He's really got a flatline heartbeat, and in the postseason, that's what you need.
In the row behind, AJ.
Dave, given the way the game was going, with both pitchers pitching the way they were, what did it feel like in the dugout when Will hit the home run and then Max followed him?
Huge relief. Goss was throwing the baseball really well. We were in between, I thought, offensively with the fastball. And, when Will, got into that 3-2 count, just missed the 3-1 heater. And then they went to the well again and, hit a homer, and there was just complete elation. We felt that the way Yamamoto's throwing, runs are certainly going to be hard to come by. And then when Max backed it up with another homer, just huge relief. And then to build an inning after that was big. But yeah, that homer, kind of a big exhale from the dugout.
Right up front, Dylan.
Dave, I'm guessing after that first inning, you're not thinking he's going 9. Just how did your bullpen plan kind of evolve over the course of that game? And at what point did you think, shoot, he might be able to finish this thing?
After that first inning, I was thinking 6. I felt he would find a way to get through 6. It's an aggressive swinging team. I thought the stuff was good, so I felt that he could manage to get through 6. And then the pitch count kind of stayed where it needed to stay. And then for me, I just didn't see anything fall off as far as his delivery and the execution.
And he said that you guys really didn't talk about going out in the ninth.
No, it was a no-brainer.
Up front to your left, Ron.
You were around to see Oral in your teenage years, and you've seen and heard all the stories about Sandy. As you've watched the last 2 games, does it seem to you like a throwback to a different era?
It's yes. I think that you look at Yamamoto. It's kind of the throwback in the sense of when he starts a game, he expects to finish it, and he'll go as long as I let him. But that's his intent.
Very straight ahead, Doc.
Hey, Doc. So following that up, it would seem to me this is like the first Dodger complete game in the World Series since Oral pitched 2 in the 1988 World Series. As far as history goes, and you're a student of history, what does that feel like for you? I think obviously it's the first one in the 5 you've managed. So, and I think this is like the 3rd since Jack Morris. How do you feel about all that?
Well, I love it. I love feeling that the starter is the best option to go 6, 7, 8, and what Yamamoto's doing 9 innings. And you got to be efficient. You got to have the weapons to be able to take down a lineup 3 times, 4 times, whatever it is. And you got to want to do it. And so he is a throwback player. He works really hard in his prep and his delivery and the mindset. So for me, it's a lot of fun to root for a guy, and you feel good about leaving a guy like that in.
And now he's done it in back-to-back games.
And he's done it in back-to-back postseason games.
Couple last ones for Doc. Anything else? All right, we will let Doc go. We'll see you in
thanks,
LA,
guys.
Doc.
Yep.
Hang tight. I was able to find John, the Blue Jays manager's press conference for Game 2. So take a listen.
Did such a good job yesterday of making Snell work. Was that ingredient kind of missing for you guys today, or was Yamamoto just that good?
Yeah, he was that good. I kind of started that way. Got his 4 pitches in the first, I think, and that was probably our best chance. First and third, and nobody out. After that, it was kind of few and far between. Second complete game in a row in the postseason. That's pretty impressive with a layoff in between. So, I think he made it hard for us to make him work. He was in the zone. Split was in and out of the zone. It was a really good performance by him.
Could have shy in the back, John.
John, with that delivery and the way his body's going in 2 different directions at the same time, what are you telling your hitters in terms of kind of where to look, how to try to identify where it's coming from, and then I try to identify a pitch to attack?
It's funky delivery for sure. We like everyone, you do a lot of work to get ready for it, and different wind up and out of the stretch for sure. They were ready. I think that you just give him credit. He tunneled everything really well, held his velo, spotted his heater really well. I don't think it was for a lack of prep or, it's deception. There's definitely some deception in the delivery too, but he was on his game.
Good, Jeff, the second row.
This could very well be a back-and-forth series, so a good chance you may see Yamamoto again in Game 6. What do the players learn from today? And even with the 17 kind of swing and misses, there's got to be something they can take out of today.
Yeah, it's the first time we've seen him this year, so you get some feedback and hopefully make some adjustments. But really, I think right now you're worried about Glass now, Game 3, but I think we do a really good job of making adjustments as we see guys. Again, man, that was a great performance by him.
Good, Mike in the third row.
For a lot of it, it was a great performance by Kevin Gausman as well. What did you see out of him?
Oh, man. Kev was really good. Thought he located the fastball down really well, which made the split kind of open up. And, I think it was 17 straight at one point. Kev was good, man. Just really good at bat from Freddie in the first. 2 strikes, double, RBI single, and then he was locked in. Got some early outs. Got some swing and miss. Just looking back at the home run to Smith, he's trying to go down and away, and it leaked back up and in. And then same thing to Max, but I thought Kev matched him pitch for pitch, really. They both had low pitch counts. It was kind of a classic pitcher's duel, and they made a couple more swings.
I think I had 21 in a row at one point overall.
Yeah.
But when that's happening, when it's just quick 3-ups, 3 downs all the way through, what's the feeling there in the dugout?
You feel good, you know what I mean? You're kind of just, again, man, you have plans and you're kind of watching things unfold in real time and watching Kev make some adjustments too. So, once we got back and tied the game with Kirky's sac fly, you feel good about Kev. He's one of our best pitchers, and I thought he did a really good job navigating. So, I mean, it was anyone's game for the taking, you know what I mean? And they just made a couple big swings there off Kev.
A couple last ones, Steve, on your left in the 4th row.
You probably almost answered this already, but were you in a bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't when your guy's going that well, and then you get in third time through the order, and it's like juggling philosophy versus what you're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you're kind of, we try to really take that into consideration, you know what I mean? Got Shohei, again, the top of the order is really dangerous, and their whole lineup is dangerous, you know what I mean? They've been in this situation before, so I think at that point it's just game state, you know what I mean? 7th inning, and that's really about all you can ask for, if not a little bit more, from a starter against this team. So have confidence in the bullpen. So it was just kind of, I trusted Kev to get out of that. Even though it is third time, you kind of watch what he's doing. Yeah.
I'll finish up with Ron on your left, John.
In the era that you're used to as a manager and coach, did you ever think you'd see performances like this of complete games from another era?
Man, it's hard to do. You know what I mean? I get why Doc let him go. He was that good, and I think that the baseball fan, right? They appreciate that. You know what I mean? You have to appreciate a complete game. So you never know. You never know when someone's going to have it. Every game is different, right? So you never really discount anything. You know what I mean? And who knows what's going to happen on game 3? You know what I mean? It's baseball, and you got to kind of react in real time.
All right, Schneid, thanks so much. We'll see you in LA.
Thanks, guys.